Alright, good morning folks, it's Nick Mulbauer here, and we are fan casting for crappie this morning. It's super calm, super quiet, and super cold, and it's got them in a bad mood, I'll tell you that much. There's my fifth one this morning, but that's a good one. We're going to keep that one because my friends hollered at me and said they were wanting to do a fish fry. I'm throwing at the brush pile, letting it drop 3 seconds, reeling it in a little bit to get it a bit off the brush pile, and letting it drop another 6 seconds. Those fish are 9 to 15 feet down. And there's our first pretty good one, you know, but they're on that pre-spawn bite, so you're gonna get a good mix of sizes. They're deep today. They're not in a good mood. The air temperature, I think, is 22, 23 degrees, and the water temperature, surprisingly, is 43 degrees. I thought it would have dropped, but it actually went up. But we're in a cold front right now. Bluebird skies. Thursday we had some rain, or Friday we had some rain come through. It's Sunday now, so we are 48 hours after that front came through, and it's cold, but it's supposed to warm up, and then we got warmer weather on the way during the work week, go figure. So we're out here fishing for these lethargic cold front fish, but if you can get it down to them and fish slow enough, they'll bite. So what I'm doing is throwing it out, letting it drop 4 seconds, just slowly reeling off that pile, and then I'm letting it drop again into that deep water about 9-10 feet down, and then I'm just slow cranking it. There's one on the drop there, and that's where they're at. That's kind of the sweet spot. So as long as you can find that sweet spot, you can catch them. It's just being patient, figuring them out, and finding that sweet spot. It's always a tiny little target you're going for, but if you can get it there and figure them out and be patient, you can still have a really good day in any condition. Boy, guys, these guys are tough. My goodness. Hey, there's a good one, folks. That's what I'm talking about. Look at that one, guys. That's that size diversity I'm talking about. They are hitting light though, guys. They are tough. I'm counting down 11 seconds right now, guys, but that's what I'm talking about. Might have to keep that one. It's a beautiful fish. I should throw him back, but I might keep this one for now since I had to work so hard for that one. I'm throwing just off to the left of that buoy, counting down 11 seconds. 1, 2, 3, all the way down to 11, and slow cranking it back. I'm not jigging it, I'm doing nothing but just reeling it in very slowly. But that is an absolutely beautiful crappie, guys. Beautiful, beautiful fish. Gotta love it. That's what I'm talking about. So we get that one on the stringer. We'll eat that one. We'll take one this year. And hopefully we can get into a mess of bigger ones like that, because usually where there's one decent one, you can count on a couple more. Put a new color on and got it bit. There, guys, it's a good one too. Switched out to all chartreuse. And that's a pretty good fish, guys. Whacked it. So we might be just going a little bit shallower here. But another decent crappie there, guys. Pretty good one. So we'll get that one on the stringer. Probably the second biggest one of the day. Hopefully changing to a chartreuse will help those fish see it a little better, and we can keep working on this stringer. But I'm just fishing the same brush pile, just trying to vary things. I know that fish are here. There's bait fish all around this morning when I got here. There's tons of bait fish, so we know that the bait fish are more situated on this end of the lake. So the forage, the temperature, it's all here. It's just getting those fish to find it and eat it. This is a good one, guys. Oh yeah, it's a crappie too. Right on. Another good one here, folks. Hey-yo. That's what I'm talking about, folks. Yep. Boy, just barely got him. Just the hint of skin got that one hooked. There we go. Another beautiful fish there. We are gonna eat him. Gotta love that, guys. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Beautiful crappie. Grateful, folks. Grateful for every opportunity I get to fish. I'll put that one on the stringer. And we're not gonna feel guilty about it. So what I'm doing is I'm casting out. Here, we'll get set up so you guys can see. So we got some marker buoys there like I always fish with, and I'm casting off just to the right of them. And that brush pile comes up pretty far, so I'm letting it sink 4 feet and just grazing over those treetops, reeling real slow so I don't get hung up. And when I get about, I don't know, 2-3 feet past the buoy that's closest to me, I let it drop about a foot or two, and it falls right into that strike zone. And those fish just follow it right out. And they've been knocking it pretty good when they come across it. So, and this is only going to get better as the month progresses and the water warms. Water temp is 44 degrees on top, and that's about the temp when these fish really start to go. When that water temp comes up just even a little more, it's going to get really fired up. So just real slow. Slow is better. Those fish will come in and just smash it. You just roll it right past them. And there are a ton of fish down there, guys. It's just a matter of, you know, one actually hitting it. Like I've said many times, there is no shortage of fish that are set up there. It's just convincing them, and it takes a lot of casts and a lot of patience and a lot of throwing into that strike zone. The strike zones are generally really small with crappie. You just need to hit them, and that's how you up your hookup percentage. It's getting midday. This bite's been pretty consistent all day. There hasn't been really any hot hours today. It's just been a slow grind all morning, but consistently slow. That's why I've been keeping on them. I've been grinding all morning, and I've been getting just enough bites to keep me on them. All right, good morning, guys. First thing, if you guys are digging the content I've been putting out, please like and subscribe. It is a huge motivator, and it's helping me reach the goals I have for this channel. Only if you dig it, guys. I don't want any handouts. If you love the content and you love what I'm sharing, please like and subscribe. Much appreciated. Pre-spawn crappie, let's talk about this. There are only 2 things I really want to bring up for this video. The first is down and side imaging is helpful, but you don't need it, okay? So it's not the end all be all. So don't worry about that if you don't have electronics. The second is working a brush pile. So let's get those electronics out of the way first though.
I knew that there were fish in the area. There were a ton of bait fish all morning. There was the warmest temperatures in the water were in that area. So we had forage, we had comfort, and we had cover. We had their home, shelter, food, comfort. They were cozy there. So I figured if they were there that early in the morning, the coldest part of the day, I thought that maybe only more would come into that area. When the bite would slow down, the bite was slow already, guys. That's what you have to understand. But there would be moments where, a good amount of time would go by and maybe 20, 30 minutes. And if I didn't get a single bite, what I would do with my down and side imaging is I would ease up to that brush pile as quietly as I could. And I would just scan it just to see if I could see some target separation of fish from the limbs of that tree. So that submerged tree down there, every time I would roll up there, I would see that there were still fish holding to that cover. But maybe all they would do was they would orient themselves a little bit differently on the cover. So after I was able to view how they had adjusted themselves, I would adjust accordingly too. I would back off that brush pile and I would try to start working my jig very specifically into that area. I'd work that area over really well and I would generally start getting bit again. So electronics, like I said, it's not the end all be all. What you can do is you can also just fish around that brush pile. And that's what I would do sometimes. It's just when I struggled to find them again, that's when I would resort to the electronics, because the electronics require you to go up to that brush pile and I don't want to come near it. I like to be as far away from it as I can possibly be at all times, because I don't want to do anything to jeopardize scaring those fish. I don't want to scare them off. So I would just use the electronics if I had to. If I could not fan cast and find them after a good amount of time, I would just ease up there to see that they were there. And if I had seen that they were there, they generally had just adjusted where the high percent of the population was. And I would just adjust accordingly, like I said. So the other thing I want to talk about is, like I said, reorienting and just changing your direction and how you fish a brush pile. A lot of people, like I said, talk about fishing the right depths, but they don't talk as much about, how you're throwing that bait and where you're placing that bait. They just tell you to throw it, find that depth, and you'll start getting bit, which is very important. You find that right depth, you'll start getting bit. I was counting down 4 seconds sometimes I count down 9 seconds, all the way down to 11 seconds, and every single depth got me bit the other day. But what they don't talk about is like how you throw your jig, like the direction you're rolling that jig past the brush pile. And they don't talk about like how you need to visualize that brush pile under the water. So right here you have the brush pile under the water. So I would pitch out to about right over that brush pile, let it count down 4 seconds. I would reel it right over the tips of those trees, the very tip tops, and you reel so slow that they don't get hung up generally. I'd roll right past that. And once I knew it was about past that brush pile, I'd let it drop more to where those fish were at. And then I'd keep reeling, and those fish they're orienting themselves here, but they'd also be up in those limbs, and they would ambush that jig. So it's just learning how to throw it, and sometimes the angle you need to be throwing it, reeling it right past parallel to that brush pile. It's just adjusting your casting angles and adjusting your depths constantly, and just finding out where those high percentage bite spots are. It's so important. You don't necessarily have to leave a brush pile if the fish stop biting. You just need to change how you present the bait to them. Like I said, I fished that brush pile all morning. There were little lulls. It was a slow bite, but I ended up catching probably 25 fish off that pile. Never left it. I just would check to see every now and then if fish were still on the pile, if it got really quiet, and they were always there. There's always fish moving in and out of those spots. That's the great thing about pre-spawn crappie fishing. It's like when those schools of fish leave, they're not gone forever. It's a great time of year where you can always count on more coming into those areas or not being too far from that area. That's something that happens year round. Fish are always reorienting themselves on cover, but they truly like just adhere to that cover so well, particularly during pre-spawn, in my opinion. So that's all I got for you guys. It's a lot like always, but check it out, man. Good results. Just fish slow. So slow. That is the key. Depth, casting angles, presenting that bait, getting it into the strike zone, and then just slow cranking a jig right past him. Oh yeah. And color of jig. Just switch out. Just try until you get bit. Where that's a whole nother beast, is all the colors you can catch crappie with, all the profiles you can catch. But we'll talk about that in another video some other day. So that's what I got for you. Gonna be a crappie weekend, but we're gonna get out. I'll adjust. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but every weekend's crappie. Like I said in my previous videos, you just gotta deal with the wind. It's another variable. It's the worst variable in my opinion, but it's just another variable. And I'm not gonna let wind stop me from fishing. So I'm gonna put up with it, and hopefully we'll crack a good one this weekend. So y'all take care. I'll see you guys soon. Have a good day, guys.